We often use the words road and street as if they mean exactly the same thing, swapping them without a second thought in everyday conversation. We cross the road, walk down the street, or turn onto another road without really noticing the difference. It all feels interchangeable. But in reality, these two words describe different kinds of places, each with its own purpose, design, and role in how we move through the world. So what's the real difference between a road and a street? The answer involves history, city design, and the way communities are built. And once you notice it, you'll start seeing the difference everywhere. Let's dive in, right here, on History of Simple Things. At the most basic level, the difference between a road and a street comes down to purpose. A road is primarily designed to connect one place to another. Its main function is transportation, moving people, vehicles, and goods between locations such as towns, cities, or rural areas. Historically, roads were the routes that allowed trade, travel, and communication across long distances. Streets, on the other hand, serve a different role. A street is usually located within a town or city and is lined with buildings such as homes, shops, or offices. Instead of simply connecting two distant places, streets are part of the urban environment where people live, work, and interact. In simple terms, a road is about getting somewhere, while a street is about being somewhere. This difference may sound subtle, but it reflects how transportation networks are designed and how communities grow around them. Another important difference lies in where roads and streets are typically found. Roads often extend beyond cities, connecting rural areas, suburbs, and distant destinations. They may pass through countryside landscapes, forests, farmland, or open terrain with few buildings nearby. Streets, however, are usually located inside developed areas such as towns, neighborhoods, and city centers. What makes a street recognizable is the presence of surrounding structures and urban infrastructure. Buildings line the sides, sidewalks allow pedestrians to walk safely, and streetlights, drainage systems, and signs are common features. These elements make streets part of daily life in densely populated environments. Roads can exist almost anywhere, but streets exist where communities are built. This environmental difference helps explain why people tend to imagine highways or rural paths when they hear the word road, while the word street often brings to mind a neighborhood block or a busy city center. Roads are designed mainly for efficient movement, allowing vehicles to travel at higher speeds with fewer intersections and less pedestrian activity. They often prioritize smooth traffic flow and long-distance travel. Streets, in contrast, function as social spaces as well as transportation routes. Because they run through residential and commercial areas, they support walking, cycling, parking, and local businesses. This is why streets often include sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, and storefronts facing the roadway. Urban planners describe this difference as movement versus place. Roads emphasize getting people from point A to point B efficiently, while streets are designed to support everyday life and community interaction. The distinction between roads and streets also becomes clearer when looking at the history of the words themselves. The word road comes from the Old English term rad, which originally referred to a horseback journey or a route used for traveling long distances. Over time, it evolved into the modern meaning of a pathway connecting places. The word street, however, has a different origin. It traces back to the Latin word strata, meaning a paved way or layered road surface. The Romans built many paved routes across their empire, and these urban thoroughfares often became the early streets of cities. As towns expanded around these paved routes, the word street became associated with built environments filled with houses and businesses. Because of these historical origins, the two words gradually developed slightly different meanings, even though both describe paths used for travel. Language preserved the distinction long after people stopped thinking consciously about it. The physical design of roads and streets reflects their different purposes. Roads are typically longer, with higher speed limits, wider lanes, and fewer intersections, allowing continuous travel over long distances and connecting major areas. Streets, by comparison, are narrower and have more intersections, traffic signals, and pedestrian crossings. Because they run through populated areas, they are designed with safety and accessibility in mind, often including sidewalks, street parking, trees, and space for local businesses or public transport. Overall, roads prioritize speed and connection, while streets focus on accessibility and the everyday needs of a community. Despite these differences, people still use road and street interchangeably in everyday conversation. One reason is that both refer to surfaces where vehicles travel, so the distinction doesn't always feel important. Another reason is that many places naturally blur the line. A rural road can gradually turn into a street once it enters a city with buildings, sidewalks, and more activity. Naming conventions also aren't always strict, as cities may use terms like road, street, or avenue for historical or administrative reasons rather than clear definitions. Because of this, the name alone doesn't always reflect how a route actually functions, even though planners still rely on these distinctions when designing infrastructure. Although road and street are often used interchangeably, they describe different roles in transportation and urban life. A road is about connection, moving people and goods between places, while a street is about community, where daily life happens. Roads stretch across regions, while streets run through neighborhoods with homes and businesses. Their designs reflect this. Roads focus on movement, while streets balance movement with social activity. Over time, the distinction blurred, but once you notice it, you start to see the pattern everywhere. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.